Alright, what's the crack? Today we're going to look at how I achieved the Alpha Legion color shift effect. For this, you'll need a dark purple, a medium blue or a cyan, and a turquoise. I used Naggaroth Night, Thousand Suns Blue, and Kabalite Green. Starting from a zenithal prime, I put down a base coat of each colour. This doesn't have to be perfect, just has to be good enough to map out the effect and define the volumes. You can see I've marked out where the dark sections will be, the highlights and the midtones. It's very rough, but now we'll start wet blending. Wet blending is essentially mixing colours on the model to create a transition. It is great for establishing base colours and defining volumes. It is a very simple technique, but it does require practice. It is very easy to overwork the paint and to rip sections that have started to dry. So as you can see, I'm applying a reasonably thick coat of the purple that hasn't been thinned. I'm immediately going in with the blue, pushing my brush back and forth into the purple paint to create a mid-tone between these two colours. I'll be doing a more in-depth video on wet blending in the future, so keep an eye out for that. I'm doing the same thing with the green, pushing my brush back and forth into the blue to create a mid-tone. You can see how we're starting to build a transition. Now we just have to repeat the process a few times across the model. I'm going to speed this up now and check back in when I'm done. Taking this to a point where I'm happy with it. Once it's dry, we can start smoothing out the transitions with glazes. A glaze is a thin transparent layer of paint. It can be used to tint colours or to smooth transitions. In this instance, we'll mainly be using it to smooth the transitions we created by wet blending. As you can see, the paint is extremely thin but I still have control. I'm pulling the brush in the direction where I want the majority of the pigment to collect. I'll be doing a more in-depth video on glazing in the future, so keep an eye out for that. Hit the subscribe button to get notified when it happens. Going to do the same thing with the purple now. Just doing a quick check on the back of my thumb to make sure the consistency is correct and to give you guys an idea of what you should be aiming for. I'm going to speed this up and continue glazing back and forth with the green, the blue and the purple to smooth out the transitions. And we're still working the glazes back and forth between the midtones, highlights and shadows. The glazes have started to smooth out those transitions, but they still need a wee bit more work. So we're going to continue glazing back and forth between the highlight, the midtone and the shadows. I'm mixing up a highlight colour with Kabalite green and some ivory. I'll be using this to edge highlight the model and establish some of the reflections. Now I'm just picking sections of the model where I think reflections will look good. This is just to create some visual interest in the model and make it more exciting to the viewer. I'm just going to speed this up and finish highlighting the rest of the model. We're going to do the same thing with the purple. I've mixed in a bit of Warlock purple to the original base colour to start adding in some secondary reflections. I'm now going back in with some glazes to help smooth out the transitions into the highlight colours. Doing the same thing with the green, using glazes to help smooth out the transitions. We're now going to go back in with the highlight colour and help re-establish the edges of each highlight. Just working back and forth between the highlight colour and the glazes just to ensure that each section has a smooth transition and I'm getting the finish that I want. I'm now starting to establish the specular highlight on the helmet. I'll be using stippling, glazing and layering in order to get the desired effect. And again, just smoothing out some of the highlights using the glazes that we created earlier. Just adding some additional depth beside the reflections by glazing in some Thousand Suns blue over the Kabalite green. Adding some edge highlights of Warlock purple in the purple sections, just to emphasize the secondary reflections. I'm just adding in some glazes to help smooth out the remaining transitions and clean up any parts of the model that I'm not happy with. Here we're just re-emphasizing the specular highlight on the helmet. And with those final few highlights, we're done. I'm just going to take the model off, paint in some black sections, and then be back. And now you can see the finished product. This is how I achieved the Alpha Legion color shift effect. Just like to take a minute and say thank you for watching the video. Hopefully it's been informative and you've learned some stuff along the way. If there's anything you would like to see featured in future videos, please drop a comment below. Or if you have any feedback on the format, again, please drop a comment. Thanks again, and I'll see you later.